So here with Kirby Method, it's all about breaking big questions and concepts into smaller action items that you can really wrap your hands around. So last week you took first steps in trying out your prototype. Now, this week, what can you do to continue to build on your prototype? We want to continue the momentum and we want to continue moving forward. So there's a worksheet for you to fill out for homework on this. So check it out. And we're going to walk through some real examples to help you out. To get more specific, because who likes big, hard to answer questions anyways? Last week we walked through some example questions and prototypes. And here are some examples of where you could take those this next week. And notice through all these examples I'm going to walk through, I think 3 examples, notice how we are just breaking down a larger question. We're just breaking it down into very small, tangible, actionable next steps. So what you see in front of you here, the question was, is owning a yoga studio a good idea? Will I like it? An offered prototype was substitute teach yoga to understand what working at a yoga studio is like and get exposure to it. So last week, a potential step you could take was, I'm going to identify 3 yoga studios near me that I could substitute teach at. This week, I can apply to substitute teach to one of those studios and fill out the application or understand what the application process looks like. So see how we're just like breaking down a much larger question or much larger goal into really small steps. Another question and prototype we looked at last week was, how do I find team or community in life post-sport? So we're breaking down a really large question into smaller, more digestible steps. The suggested prototype was, define what community means to me and test it out. That's still pretty vague or large. So the next steps could be, 1, you could coffee chat with other athletes and understand how they define and develop community in life post-sport. So last week, breaking that down could be, you ask 3 athletes if you could take them to coffee and pick their brains. This week, it could be, I'm going to complete one of those coffee chats and ask if there are other people they'd recommend speaking with. That is a wonderful thing to practice and to do when you are going on these coffee chats, is ask them, very low pressure, hey, if I'm interested in this, is there anyone else? Are there any other folks that you'd recommend talking with? It is a wonderful way to expand your network and find other people you wouldn't otherwise get connected with to talk to. You'd be really surprised at just how helpful people are, how much they want to help. So this week, let's say you complete that coffee chat, you ask if there are any other folks they recommend speaking with, and then you can reflect for a couple minutes on the coffee chat. Where do you want to take that from here? And to get more specific on where you could take that from here after you had some coffee chats and you're trying to figure out how to create a team or community in life post-sport, I wanted to put some tangible ideas in your head. So you could create a vision board, get creative, cut out pictures of a magazine that's kind of like what speaks to you. Don't think too much about it, but what speaks to you around what a team and community looks like. It could be words, it could be phrases, it could be pictures from magazines. It's a really fun exercise I've done multiple times. So you could create a vision board. You could take a stab at defining what community means to me. What does community mean to me? Does that mean that I feel comfortable in my home and I have a great roommate or living situation, that I have people I'm saying hi with outside of my home? What does community mean to me? And then based on the definition that you develop, how can you build community? What are some different things you could try? Could you join a triathlon club? Could you go to different gym or exercise classes? Could you start or join a book club? Could you practice saying hi to your neighbor? Could you practice saying hi or making eye contact with people around the neighborhood or around your routine with your commuting or whatever it might be, and gradually build community there? I know that's something that I've really been practicing, is just how to not even necessarily say hi, but make eye contact and smile at strangers and nice people as they're walking by. Another question and prototype we looked at last week was, how do I find better balance between exercise and the rest of my life? So last week you could have picked one workout class and planned it out. This week, try something else. Or if you really like the workout class, do it again, and slowly start to build that routine from there. Or if last week, instead of trying a new exercise class, you decided to dig more into understanding, like, where is this need to really work out coming from? Why is it so hard to balance by talking to my guru and your 80-year-old self? Then this week, you can set an action item based on your reflection. So I think, to say that more clearly, last week you decided to dig more into understanding the need to really work out. And through the tools that you've worked on talking to your guru, then this week you can really set an action item based on that reflection. So more specifically, let's say based on your reflection and talking to your guru, you realize that you're afraid you'll gain weight if you don't work out. So can you try substituting a less intense yoga class for a HIIT class to give your body a break, so that you're still working out? So you kind of check that box mentally for now, but you're substituting with a less intense workout. Or could you dare yourself to take a day off and really see what happens? And really explore if you're feeling guilty around not working out. Like, explore, where is that guilt coming from? Like, why do I feel guilty? Really, reflect on that. This was something that I really struggled with. I felt very, very guilty if I didn't work out really hard 6 days a week. And I'm saying, like, HIIT, like super intense workout 6 days a week. And I was also really afraid of gaining weight now that I wasn't playing soccer anymore. So now I've gotten to a place where I work out. I still work out a lot. I work out 4 or 5 days a week, but that'll include 1 or 2 yoga classes that are vinyasa or just restorative. And guess what? Like, I'm happier than I've ever been, and I didn't gain weight. So pretty interesting, right? And I still have those days where, I'll kind of feel guilty if I don't work out. And what's great is you can bring awareness to that and understanding why, like, that's interesting. I'm feeling guilty right now. Like, what does that feel like physically in my body? And like, why am I feeling guilty? And kind of dig into that, and then able to kind of change that storyline in your head, or interrupt that storyline in your head to something that better serves you. Okay, and then the last example. So last week we talked about the question, how do I figure out what I'm passionate about? And one prototype goal offered was understanding how to help at-risk kids. And that idea of helping at-risk kids came from the tools and exercises earlier on in the workshop, like Design 3 Lives, the Life Work Views, and Energy Journal. And then we broke down that prototype by setting potential next steps as asking 3 folks to have coffee with you who have experience in that space. So then this week, you could complete 1 coffee chat and then ask that person for other folks they'd recommend connecting with. Wonderful question to ask. And I just want to offer to you, see how small the steps can be. The goal is to really break it down as much as possible. Or let's say, your goal last week was to identify 2 to 3 different meetup groups to attend and mark your calendar. So this week, before attending a meetup, you could spend 15 minutes writing down what you want to get out of the meetup and questions you're interested in exploring at the meetup. And this could lead to, volunteer opportunities, exploring internships, short-term projects. Or something we didn't talk explicitly about last week was, what if I'm trying to figure out what I am passionate about and I really have no idea what's out there or where to even start? Now that's a big question. And what I want to offer to you is that you know more than you think you do. So through this workshop, you've done a lot of exploring of yourself and understanding your values and which activities give you energy, like through the Energy Journal, the Work-Life Views, and Design 3 Lives. So what are some potential next steps to figure out where to start? One, you could crowdsource. So ask your family and friends what they think you're good at and where they see you in the career world based on that. So great, you could send an email that says, hey, what do you see as my strengths? And 2, what careers could you imagine me doing that would utilize those strengths? I actually received an email like this from one of my friends the other day, and it was super fun for me to think about, like, my lens through knowing this person. What do I see as their strengths, and what are some different career ideas? It's a great way to crowdsource. Secondly, go on a bunch of coffee chats. So based on like what kind of seems interesting on some of the tools and exercises you've done through Design 3 Lives and the Energy Journal, whatever, just talk to folks in areas that just seem plain interesting. So then, like, see how once you have some ideas, either from crowdsourcing or coffee chats or both, you can start prototyping on this. So you could volunteer, you could shadow people, look at short-term projects, internships, even. Like, really encourage you, be creative and break down whatever you're trying to do into smaller, super manageable steps. So, oh, and we have a little horn honk here to validate the point that I just said. Thank you, universe. So, check out the worksheet, similar to the worksheet in week 5, but now we're building on what you tried like your first week. And this is part of the homework. So fill out the worksheet and ultimately determine what you want to try this week to move forward with your prototype. Please, at any point, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or feel like you're getting super stuck. My email, kirbymethod@gmail.com.